please ignore the background music. So here's a little research update on what we're finding in our pre and post jab blood work and in our environmental toxin testing. And remember, this is only a little bit of what we can actually test for. I say if you're not testing, you're guessing, and pretty much nobody in the entire country is testing for this stuff, but it's very important. And what we're finding is that every single person, dozens of people, before and after, are having high levels of inflammatory markers, hsCRP, homocysteine, liver enzymes, GGT, all kinds of stuff, NT-proBNP, myeloperoxidase, PLAC, which is the same thing as lipoprotein PLA2. So basically, you might not know what that means, but let me break it down for you. Those markers are elevated, and HEMA is elevated in the urine after in every single person. And what this means is that everybody is basically having inflammatory changes and or heart stress or plaque risk, heart pumping stress or plaque risk after they're getting the vaccine, the COVID vaccines. And everybody's peeing out HEMA. So the good news is you're peeing out carcinogens. The bad news is you're peeing out carcinogens. And HEMA is a breakdown of ethylene oxide, which is usually in PEG, which is in the Pfizer Moderna vaccines. So every single person we're finding when we do pre and post environmental toxin testing, we're finding that they're peeing out HEMA, which means you could have a cancer risk. Like, we're exposed to thousands of carcinogens on a daily basis, but it's not a great sign that people, after they take the Pfizer Moderna vaccines, are peeing out carcinogens. We're also finding from all of the COVID vaccines that people are having inflammatory change, which is why you're getting those inflammation symptoms. It means the vaccine is working, but it also means that your body is responding in an over-inflammatory state, probably because you don't really naturally make that level of antibodies, or your body doesn't naturally get injected with mRNA technology or the adenovirus technology that goes to the DNA that then creates the mRNA. It's not like your body innately does that. So it's a synthetic process, and your body tends to make more inflammation from that process. At least that's what we're finding in our research. And remember, no one else is doing this research. And if you're not testing, you're guessing. So everybody else is just guessing. And we're just guessing what that means long term. We don't really know what it means long term, because that level of plaque, that level of inflammation usually lasts for a couple of weeks to about a month or so in the blood work. But we don't know if that's going to create plaques or clots that will then break off and cause problems later on down the road. That's probably why the heart inflammation is happening. But just remember, the biggest lie in healthcare is just because you have symptoms means you're healthy, or the lack of symptoms means you're fine. So when they say it's safe and effective, to what degree is it safe? It may be effective at creating antibodies, but is that useful or not? And how safe is it when everybody is having these basically bad elevations in their blood levels after the vaccine? So I wish I had better news to share, but that's kind of what we're finding in our research. And it doesn't really bode well for people. It means, like, some people can handle, I think, that level of inflammation and heart stress, but some people it's like, twice as high as normal, which is still quite high. But other people, it's like 20, 30 times higher than normal. Their hsCRP should be below 1. And when it gets above 3, that's a lot of inflammation. And they're having like 20, 30, 35 numbers on this lab marker of hsCRP, which is high sensitivity cardioreactive protein, which is basically a cardiovascular or a blood level of inflammation that affects the entire body everywhere the blood travels to, which is why people are getting such strange reactions. I mean, it's just one of the reasons, but that's kind of our research update on HEMA and the pre-post blood labs, and it doesn't bode well, but that is what we're finding, and I feel like it's just my honest due diligence to tell you what we're finding and what we found up to this point. And I don't think that the results are going to change. Even if we go from dozens to hundreds, we're still going to find this in everybody, if not almost everybody, after the vaccine. But many people are kind of done taking the vaccine, or aren't going to take the vaccine, or already took the vaccine. So we probably won't get a lot more research in, and the opportunity to do this on tons of people, thousands of people, has probably been missed by the standard medical community. And you might ask, why has no one done this research to this point? And I go, I don't know. It would have been useful to do this research, but most doctors don't even test these markers, don't believe in these markers. They're not part of normal blood routine lab checks. But it basically looks like people are having almost like a natural COVID infection would increase these numbers in those who are really sick from COVID. That's basically what we're finding from the vaccines. They're having like a mini COVID-like blood reactions, but many people are having it to the extreme. And just remember, just because you feel fine after a few days doesn't mean there aren't long-term consequences from injecting yourself with carcinogens or from having inflammatory reactions for a few weeks to a month. We don't know what that could mean in the short or long term, but we basically found this and we're predicting the myocarditis months before it happened. And we've been censored, blocked, and deleted for it a number of times, but that's where we're at. That's what our research is showing, and that's true science, is like just sharing what you're finding clinically. It's one of the best levels of evidence and science that we have, and it's just a big red flag, at least a yellow flag, and we should be investigating that more.